Hello, team player. Barathu are one of the core classes in Starfinder, and they kind of look like weird alien things, but they can go into many different forms, making them great operatives. And they get a bonus to wisdom, as well as great healing feats, but we now have brand new options for them. Let's get right into it. So, of course, first we need to talk about the brand new heritages for this ancestry. And we're going to start with the Covert Observer Barathu. These guys are very good at stealth, and as such make great operatives. You are trained in stealth. If you're already trained in stealth, you get another skill of your choice. You also gain the Quiet Allies skill feat, even if you don't meet the prerequisites for the feat. You can also spend 10 minutes modifying the shape and color of your body to gain a +2 bonus on stealth when using the Avoid Notice exploration activity. This bonus also applies to initiative rolls with stealth if you're avoiding notice at the start of the encounter. Quiet Allies normally requires you to be an expert in stealth, and you're not going to be an expert in stealth at first level. You're just not. But you still get the feat automatically, which is crazy, because Quiet Allies is one of the best skill feats you can take for teamwork when it comes to stealth. And Quiet Allies allows you to roll one check for stealth when everybody's stealthing, rather than just everybody rolling separately. This means that no one character can ever ruin everything by rolling low. You either all roll low or you all roll high. You do have to use the lowest modifier, but this can be very helpful when the entire party needs to be stealthy. Keep in mind, the party members do have to be following the experts to take advantage of this. But keep in mind, you also get a +2 circumstance bonus to stealth when you're using Avoid Notice, which means even if you're stealthing by yourself, you're even better at stealthing. Great for operatives. Moving on, we have the Galactic Wanderer Barathu. You gain the Cosmic trait, allowing you to survive in vacuums. Also, in areas of zero gravity, your fly speed increases by 10. You also gain the Living Capsule action when you're in a zero-G environment. You expand your body and use a specialty organ of compressed oxygen to fill it with breathable air. Your size becomes huge, and your speed becomes 0. But in this form, you can carry up to 6 medium or smaller willing creatures and fully protect them from the vacuum of space. You remain in this form as long as you're in the vacuum, or until you choose to revert to your normal form as a single action. Otherwise, this ability lasts for 1 hour per level. Basically, if you ever get pushed into space, this type of Barathu can save the entire party. Just get everybody inside of you, and then all you have to do then is wait for a ship to go by. Then the entire party can get on the ship and survive. It is a little situational because, you gotta be in a zero-G environment to even use this, and it really only helps if your party is accidentally flung into space. But otherwise, you'll be glad you have it when it comes up. Genetically unstable Barathu can melt into a puddle of goo. This lasts for 10 minutes or until you dismiss it. In this form, you have resistance equal to half your level to piercing and slashing damage. However, you can't use any actions with the manipulate trait or any items, but you can carry them. In other words, basically, you can't use weapons or anything like that. But this is another good way to hide. I mean, think about it. If you're a puddle of ooze, how many people are going to realize that you're even there? I mean, yes, they're probably going to step on you, but that doesn't mean anything. You have resistance to piercing and slashing damage, but not bludgeoning damage, sadly, and I think that's what stepping on you would do, but still, it's not like they're going to step on you very much. Well, you can't attack in this form. It is a good way to reduce damage, and you can dismiss it at any time. So, it's good. Moving on, we have Living Codex Barathu. You are trained in Society, or another skill of your choice if you're already trained in Society. You also gain a +4 circumstance bonus on checks to aid on recall knowledge. This one's big. Aid is a lot more helpful than most people think it is, and a +4 on aid checks to recall knowledge is fantastic. Just helping allies know things is ridiculous. This is another great one. The Ocean Diver Barathu is very similar to the Galactic Wanderer Barathu. In fact, it's exactly the same, except that you can breathe underwater and you gain a swim speed equal to your fly speed. You also gain the Living Submersible action, which is basically the exact same thing as Living Capsule, except it works underwater. If you ever need to go underwater for a mission or something, you'll be glad you have this Barathu in your party. But otherwise, it's pretty situational. I don't recommend this one except in very specific campaigns. Moving on, we have the Rugged Explorer Barathu. You have a shell that counts as medium armor in the composite armor group. It grants a +2 to your AC, has a dex cap of +2, a tech penalty of -2, a strength threshold of +2, and has the comfort and exposed traits. The item bonus increases to +3 at 5th level. You are trained in your shell, but while you can wear a fly suit, you can't wear other armor. And you can etch armor runes onto your shell, but you can't install armor upgrades. This is probably the Barathu you want to take if you want to be a soldier. Now let's talk about first level feats, starting with Adapted Underwater Brawler, which requires the Ocean Diver Barathu heritage. Your attacks are basically not affected by being underwater. You don't take the -2 penalty for making melee, slashing, and bludgeoning strikes, and your ranged attacks aren't affected by being underwater. You can also use weapons that deal fire damage underwater. If you're an Ocean Diver Barathu heritage, this is pretty much a must-take. If you take that heritage, you're more than likely going to be underwater a lot, and that means you need your weapons to actually be effective, and that's what this feat does for you. Moving on, we have Genetic Dictionary. You can become trained in computers and can use computers to decipher writing. You also gain the Digital Ambassador skill feat and can successfully communicate using the feat with a DC 12 flat check. This check is a DC 8 if you're legendary in society or computers. Oh, and this also requires the Living Codex Barathu heritage. If you're a Living Codex Barathu heritage, again, this is probably a feat you want to take because it's great outside of combat. Thanks to a little thing called information. I mean, using computers to decipher writing means you can decipher just about any writing there is, which is fantastic. I highly recommend this one if you're a Living Codex Barathu. The Genetically Unstable Barathu has the GUI Engulf feats, which requires 2 actions. You can stride and move through the spaces of any creatures in your path. Any creature of your size or smaller whose space you move through can attempt a reflex save against your athletics DC to avoid being engulfed. A creature unable to act automatically critically fails the save. If a creature succeeds at a save, it can either be pushed aside or pushed in front of you at the end of your movement. It gets to choose which one of these happens. You can only attempt to engulf the same creature once per turn, but you can contain as many creatures as can fit in your space. A creature that fails a save is pulled into your body. It is grabbed and slowed 1 and must hold its breath or start suffocating. It takes 1d6 acid damage at the end of each of its turns while engulfed. It can get free by escaping against your athletics DC. An engulfed creature can attack you, but only with an unarmed attack or weapons of light bulk or less. You're off guard against these attacks, however. If you take piercing or slashing damage equal to or exceeding 1/4 of your remaining hit points from a single attack or spell, the engulfed creature cuts itself free. A creature that gets free by either method can immediately breathe and exit your space. If you fall asleep, are knocked unconscious, or die, all creatures you've engulfed are automatically released. This one is fantastic for any melee character. Even if you're like a puddle of goo, you can still use this, which is fantastic. And it takes enemies out of the fight for a while, assuming they fail the reflex save. Also, they do take 1d6 acid damage at the end of their turns, so you are still doing damage to them as they are engulfed. But the best part about it is the 1d6 acid damage can be improved by hard light hand wraps as though it were an unarmed attack. Which means this can go up as you level up, which is nuts. It's a great option for anyone wanting to use unarmed attacks in Starfinder. But it can also be pretty risky, because you are off guard to any attacks that the creature inside you makes. And the more creatures you engulf, the more damage you're probably going to take. So be careful with this. But it does mean they have to attack you and nobody else. This can be very good for soldiers. Next is Squishy Cover, which requires the Covert Observer Barathu. When you hide, one adjacent ally your size or smaller can use a reaction to step and hide behind you, gaining the concealed condition until either one of you moves. So basically, because Barathu can be any size, from small to large, this can definitely allow other operatives in your party, or the only operative if you're not an operative, to hide and gain this concealed condition, which is fantastic. And really, any party member that wants to hide. This is another fantastic one. If you're good at hiding, this is an excellent one to take, especially when combined with the Covert Observer Barathu Heritage. Spiked Exoskeleton requires the Rugged Explorer Barathu Heritage. Your shell has spikes that deal 1d4 piercing damage to any creature that grapples you or hits you with an unarmed attack. This is okay. I mean, the problem is ranged combat is a lot more common in Starfinder. So you're not going to use this as much as you think. But if you're running into a lot of grapples and unarmed attacks, more than I think you will, then this is one you might take. You can use Synthesized Vapor once per hour. You create a cloud of vapor around yourself. This vapor lasts for 1 minute or until you move. You become concealed in the mist, and other creatures outside the mist become concealed to you. This is okay. I mean, it's a great way to hide if you're a covert observer, but it's not great for other Barathus, honestly. But if you're a class that wants to hide, this is one you may want to pick up. Alright, for level 5 we have Adaptive Echolocation. When you use the Seek action, you can use Hearing as a precise scent with a range of 40 feet until the start of your next turn. You can also use this sense when you search. This is fantastic. Enemies that want to hide from you are actually pretty common in Starfinder. So, being able to use Hearing to locate them is actually pretty nice. And you can use it while searching too, which means if items make any sound, you can find them more easily as well. This is a fantastic one that is available to all Barathu. Next up is Goo Life. You can now become ooze with a frequency of once per 10 minutes rather than once per day. And if you fall asleep while you're in your ooze form, you remain in that form until you wake up. Again, this is another fantastic one for the genetically unstable Barathu. Just being able to become ooze with a frequency of once per 10 minutes is already huge. Like I said in the Heritage, becoming ooze is a great way to hide. And if you happen to fall asleep, you're still in the form, so you're still hiding. It's fantastic. Highly recommend this one for genetically unstable Barathu. Alright. Instant Genetic Recall requires you to be an expert in a skill with a Recall Knowledge action and the Living Codex Barathu Heritage. Choose a skill in which you're expert that has the Recall Knowledge action. You gain Assurance and Automatic Knowledge skill feats for the chosen skill. And you can select this multiple times, choosing a different skill each time. This is insane. I mean, Recall Knowledge is a very slept-on action. And getting Assurance and Automatic Knowledge with the chosen skill is crazy. Just being able to take 10 on any Recall Knowledge check that you pick for this feat is already insane. And then you can do it as a free action, which is nuts. I highly recommend this one for any Living Codex Barathu Heritage, especially ones with high intelligence, or wisdom for that matter. Alright, we got another one for the Ocean Diver Barathu Heritage with Living Submersible Mount. When another PC rides you as a mount while you're using the Living Submersible ability, they can take 3 actions instead of 2 at the start of their turn. However, you still only gain 2 actions at the start of your turn instead of 3, because you have to spend 1 action keeping your rider safely contained within a protective foam layer on your back. This one is good because your rider isn't penalized for riding you as a mount. You still are, but as a mount, all you really have to do is move and maybe attack if you're in combat, while the rider might have to do other things, such as recall knowledge, or really just anything. They can basically do anything they want, which is fantastic teamwork. Now, I will admit, the Ocean Diver Barathu is pretty situational, but if you're needing to be underwater, this is an excellent feat to take. And lastly, for level 5, we have Vapor Form, which requires the Galactic Wanderer Barathu heritage. You can transform into a gaseous vapor, but in this state, you're amorphous. You lose any item bonus to AC and all other effects and bonuses from your armor, but you do get to use your unarmored defense. You gain resistance to physical damage and are immune to precision damage, but you can't cast spells, activate items, or use actions that have them attack or manipulate traits. You gain a fly speed equal to your normal fly speed and can slip through tiny cracks. This lasts for 5 minutes or until you dismiss it. This can be really good. You can't really do anything when you're in their vapor form, but there are some situations where you'll need to get through tiny cracks. This can be good for scouting, but otherwise it's kind of situational, and it is only once per hour. At level 9, we have Cellular Static Discharge, which can be used once per hour for 2 actions. You discharge electricity in a 10-foot emanation, 15 foot if you're in a body of water. All creatures in the area take electricity damage with a basic reflex save. If a creature critically fails, they become immobilized for 1 round. This damage increases at 13th level and at 17th level. This can be good, but you gotta be careful with it because it can hit allies. In addition, it's only really good if the enemy is weak to electricity damage. There are plenty of creatures that are in Starfinder. Moving on, we have Excavating Tentacles, which requires the Rugged Explorer Barathu. You gain a burrow speed of 15 feet for as long as your tentacles are wrapped together, and then you burrow. You take a minus 10 foot status penalty to your land and fly speeds until you unwrap your tentacles. You can do this as a free action. This can be really good for operatives, because nobody expects you to come up from the ground as an operative. You are slower, but it's still fantastic to be able to pop up and surprise people from the ground. So yeah, very, very good. And lastly, for level 9, we have Genetic and Environmental Adaptation, which requires molecular modification, which of course is a feat from the player core. You gain additional resistance to the damage type chosen with molecular modification. Your resistance now is equal to your level instead of half your level. If you've taken molecular modification multiple times, you can take this feat multiple times, each gaining additional resistance to a different damage type chosen with molecular modification. Again, this can be fantastic. Taking less damage is always great, especially for something like a soldier, or heck, even a mystic. A mystic that takes less damage is fantastic. I mean, that's just a healer that doesn't take as much damage. They don't have to heal themselves as much. Another fantastic feat for this ancestry. And then we've got 2 more feats to talk about. One at 13th level and one at 17th level. 13th level we have Genetic Guise. You can cast humanoid form as a 5th rank occult innate spell once per day. Except the duration is increased to 1 hour. This one is fantastic for operatives. I mean, being able to transform into any humanoid is ridiculous. Transforming into a different form to avoid authorities or avoid whoever you want, basically, is fantastic. And for level 17, we have a Brainwave Scanner. You gain Thought Sense as a precise sense with a range of 30 feet. Allowing you to detect thinking creatures. But you can't detect creatures that don't think or are otherwise immune to mental effects. Things like oozes and robots. This is very good though, because while robots and oozes are actually pretty common in Starfinder, so are thinking creatures. So being able to figure out where they are is actually very good. There's a reason this feat is level 17, and it's because Thought Sense as a precise sense is ridiculous. Even if they roll ridiculously high on stealth, they still have to think, which means you can still find them. And this is precise, not imprecise. It means you know exactly where they are. Another fantastic one for the Barathu ancestry. I highly recommend this one if you get this far. If you guys enjoyed this video, you may like these other ancestry videos I've done for Starfinder. And make sure you check out the description below for more ways to support me as a creator. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.